everyone, Edna Kimble, Edna Sells. Today on our podcast, we're going in a little bit different direction. I just returned from a trip and I posted some photos on social media, and I've had quite a few phone calls or DMs and even text messages asking me, what the heck was I doing? So we're going to put some photos below for you guys to check out. But basically, I went on a real estate retreat that was regarding mindset and masterminding. And basically all that is that's where a bunch of people sign up for a retreat. We went 3 days to Playa del Carmen, and it was a very intense 3 days. Fortunately, it rained the entire time we were there, so I didn't feel like I was missing out on the beach or anything. But we met my coach, my real estate coach, Sandra Hendricks. Sandra is from Mexico City, and we all flew in. There were about 34 people, I believe, that came in from all over the country, literally, actually all over the world. And we spent a really intense 2.5 days masterminding and talking about our market, what works in our market, and then sharing that so that we could then get new ideas from other realtors. Now, part of the mastermind that my coach, who's very intense, came up with is she has started a cold plunge therapy that she does on a regular day-to-day basis, and she wanted us to be a part of that. So she hired a Wim Hof coach instructor, and that's W-I-M, Wim Hof, H-O-F-F, coach to come in and teach us the Wim Hof method of the cold plunge. So the funny thing about Wim Hof therapy or Wim Hof coaching is the majority of us went in with a certain specific idea of what it was going to be like, and we were trying to figure out what Wim Hof actually stood for. And we then found out in the training that Wim Hof is actually a person's name, and he is the person who kind of invented this therapy. He obviously did not invent ice baths or cold exposure, but he is the one that kind of took it and ran with it and made it more of a streamlined therapy. So my coach, Sandra, has a really interesting history. She is an author. She's a real estate broker. She is a real estate coach. She has been a triathlete. She's just done a little bit of everything in her lifetime. And now she's really big into the cold plunge. So she brought on a Wim Hof coach, and we literally all had signed up to pay to be in an ice bath. So it was really interesting to set through. It was approximately 6 or 7 hours of training on breath work, mindset, and there's 3 pillars. So it's mindset, breath work, and cold exposure. And they talked to us about the cold exposure, why it had certain health benefits. Now, if you Google it and check it out yourself, the Wim Hof method, or Wim Hof himself, he makes some pretty extravagant claims that are not necessarily substantiated, but the majority of his claims were actually substantiated through scientific research. And on his site, you can actually see that information. But it was really great information. And I think at the end of the day, the point of it was to kind of push yourself into an area that you haven't done before, and just basically a new experience, and see if you can be open to that and if you can withstand being uncomfortable. So we all showed up. We were told to wear comfortable clothing and to bring a swimsuit. So that was fun, meeting 34 strangers in our swimsuits, but that I guess it could always be worse, right? And we spent, like I said, about 6.5, 7 hours going through a training on breath work, why the cold exposure, what the scientific proof was behind it, and then actually talking about the breath work and what that does to your lungs. And one of the things that I found really interesting was that the breath work, some of the studies had shown that at the end of your life, your capacity of breath, or I'm sorry, your lung capacity is going to be in direct correlation of your actual health or quality of life. Because I think we've all seen people who, couldn't walk up and down the stairs because of their lungs, or they had to be on oxygen. And so containing or continuing to have a very good, strong lung capacity actually gives you longevity. And to me, what's more important than longevity is actually quality of life. If I'm going to go out, I want to go out at the top, not after 5 years of low quality of life. So that was the breath work part, the cold exposure part. And then the mindset. So the mindset was really kind of why I was there. I'm one of those individuals that I feel like I can do anything hard for 2 minutes, right? So how bad could it possibly be? And of course, when you get in, you've kind of built yourself up. There's a lot of adrenaline flowing through, and you're literally just jumping into an ice bath. So what they had us do was just kind of prepare our mindset, figure out the breathing. They told us to breathe as if we were breathing through a straw, like just like that, and then blow out as if we were blowing through a straw. And that kind of helped contain some of the discomfort. So out of the 34 or however many of us were actually there, I said I wanted to go first. So my mindset for that was, I'm one of those individuals that I know I can do it if they say that it's possible to be done. So I didn't want to wait and watch someone else go in and then freak out, because I felt like that would affect me. So I was actually the first one who said, okay, I'm going in. And they actually had us go in with three, as three. So they had 3 tubs. And before you could actually get in the water, you had to put your hands in, you had to splash the cold water on yourself. Now, we were in Mexico, obviously, and it was about 86 degrees outside, somewhere in that range. But it was really rainy and overcast. But I did not find that splashing the water on was super uncomfortable or anything. So at that moment, I thought, okay, this is going to be a breeze. I can do this. This is not bad at all. And my whole intent was to get in as fast as possible, because I'd done a little bit of reading on it and watched a few videos, and it was the people who tried to go in really tentatively or really slowly, they were the ones that struggled the most. So I was like, okay, I'm going in and I'm going to get this over with. And then the second thing that I kept telling myself is, a friend of mine, Annalise, on our team, has done quite a few ice baths, and she said, don't move once you get in. The theory behind not moving once you're submerged is that your body will actually do like a little mini force field of the heat that's radiating off your body. So if you can stay really still, it will not be as intense. And of course, being the first one in, one of the things I had not thought about was the ice had not broken up yet. So it actually like kind of scraped me going in. But again, I went in really, really fast to prevent that tentative thing, like when you're going into the lake and it's really cold, you're better off just to plunge in. So I went in really, really quickly. And one of the mistakes I made is I didn't get my feeding just right, or my footing. And so I was like kind of in an awkward position, but I was afraid to move. And since we were the first ones, he was still talking and kind of training and telling us what to expect, telling us what to watch for. He spent a lot of time and actually kind of leaned in and said to each one of us to our face, if you feel any discomfort in the front of your head, then get out immediately. No questions asked, just hop out. And almost immediately, the person in the middle got out. So I was trying to not figure out what was going on over there, but just kind of stay focused on mine. So I got the ice broken up, got in there, was trying to maintain the force field. And about that time, that's when everyone started shooting video and photos. And I'm not going to let you see me sweat. So of course I'm smiling, and everyone was like, oh, that was easy for you. So here's the thing, guys, it was not easy for me. It was very uncomfortable. It really was. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, I've had some babies, so it was not the most excruciating thing I've ever gone through. And it was totally doable. And I can see how you would be able to build up a resistance to it if you did it on a regular basis. So I would say that on a scale of 1 to 10, I think it was probably like a 5.5 discomfort. And again, my first time ever going in. Um, the funny thing about it is, we were told we would do 2 rounds of 2 minutes, so it felt like 15 minutes. And then when he said tiempo, time up, I was like, okay, I'm out of here. And then he realized that he had actually left us in for 3 minutes, those of us in the first round. So I was like, okay, well, good. Then I actually did it for a minute longer than I needed to. So then everyone else kind of cycled through. They were adding ice. So I know what you're thinking, wait and be the last, and then the ice will be melted. It actually doesn't work that way, because they did keep refilling the ice. So that was an interesting take on it. Um, and then at the end, once everyone had gone through, I said I thought we had to go through twice to make it like official. And there were only, I think, 6 of us, 7 of us that went through twice. Now, my coach is kind of crazy, and I think she went 3 times, and one of those times I think she stayed like 8 minutes. But I will tell you, if you're thinking about researching it, what one thing that the coach said is anything over that 2 to 3 minute is really just ego, and you don't necessarily get additional health benefits by staying in beyond that 3 minute mark. They did give away the tubs that were used, and I was given one of the tubs. I chose to actually, pay it forward and gave it to another person that was there because I didn't want to mess with it. It was a very quick trip and I packed very lightly and I didn't want to have to get another suitcase or try to ship it home. But I checked on Amazon and the exact link or the unit that we were using is about $120, so it's not anything outrageous or expensive. I personally prefer to do a cold plunge after a sauna, so I'm going to wait and not actually purchase the cold plunge at this time. But there are some things that I'm going to do to add the cold exposure. A cold shower, taking a cold bath at home. You don't necessarily have to have a special tub or anything like that. And at the end of the day, it's Oklahoma. If we wait a week, it'll be cold enough that I could just set out back, and you don't necessarily have to go full on water to experience a cold exposure. So I think what I recommend, that's I've had everyone ask me from how bad was it to what I recommend it to am I going to do it on a regular basis. I am going to add the cold exposure, probably more through cold shower, cold tub, or just setting out back. Probably will wait on getting the actual unit. Um, I did like it for the mindset because, again, I think it's important to know that I can push myself through in a comfortable position, regardless of whether it's physical or mental, and, stay within the moment and know that I've accomplished something. I will say it's very similar, though, to the skydiving. And I tell my team this all the time. I don't necessarily think that it's something that is um, life changing or life altering because, for one, it's not really a skill set. I didn't have to learn anything to skydive. I didn't really have to learn anything special to do the cold plunge. But I do think that it plays into mindset and just, being able to control your thoughts and be positive no matter what the situation is. So would I recommend that you do it? Yes, I do. I think adventure and new experiences are really, really important to us. Do I think there's some health benefits after that 6 or 7 hour training? I did think that there were some health benefits, and am I going to incorporate it? Yes, but not by doing the full on plunge every single time. I think that there's some simpler ways to do that. So that is my Wim Hof cold plunge ice bath breakdown. We're going to put some video and footage below. And again, you're going to see me in a swimsuit. So that's another out of my comfort zone, but that's just part of it. And what does it have to do with real estate? I met some amazing people. We did some major masterminding on the second day where it was all only real estate related. And one of the things that we did is we challenged each other. If you told me something that you're doing in your market, rather than me automatically going to, Bill, that would never work for marketing in my market, it was the mindset of keeping your mind open and saying, okay, well, if it worked for them, it could work for me. So I got a lot of great new ideas for marketing properties and helping my sellers get the highest and best price. Also got some great negotiating tips. So those are also fantastic. So maybe I'll do another podcast on those. So I would say for the trip overall, it was definitely an 8 out of 10. The only way it could have been better is if the weather would have been a little bit better. And maybe if my crazy coach would have given us a half a day off. Otherwise, we were in the meetings all day, every day. But definitely 8 out of 10. I would highly recommend it and I would do it again. So guys, thank you for watching today's episode. I know that that was a little bit different on what topics we normally cover, but if there's something that you have questions about, please reach out. If you would like to be a guest on our podcast or would like to see someone on the podcast, let us know. And as always, please like, follow, and share. And thank you so much for watching.